So what if the biggest problems in our lives, the burnout, the anxiety, the isolation, what if they aren't actually personal failures, but a huge design flaw in society itself? Today, we're going to explore a really radical idea for fixing that design, and it's all based on one powerful premise. And that premise is right here. The source material for this explainer argues that the problem with education isn't the institution. It's the fact that we've completely yanked it away from everything else that matters. Things like work, health, community, and any kind of real responsibility. And this brings us to the absolute core problem that this whole concept is trying to solve. A system that is fundamentally deeply fragmented. So what do we mean by fragmentation? Well, it's this idea that we've taken all the essential parts of a whole life and just chopped them up. We've stuffed them into all these separate, disconnected boxes. You can really think of fragmentation as the villain of our story today, because it's creating all this massive inefficiency and waste. What's really wild about this slide is just how normal it all looks. I mean, this is modern life for most of us, right? We send our kids to one building, the adults go to another for work, the sick go to a third, and our elders go to a fourth. We even separate kids from each other based on just 1 year of age. And the result of all this, a ton of effort, a ton of running around, for very, very little compounding benefit. And this fragmented system, it has a cost that goes way, way beyond just money or inefficiency. It's a deeply human one. And this, right here, is the crucial point. The biggest price we pay for chopping everything up like this is just squandering our own potential at every single stage of our lives. So if you've ever felt anxious or burnt out or just disconnected, the argument here is that it is not a personal flaw. It's actually the predictable outcome of a badly designed system. The problem isn't you, it's the fragmentation itself.
All right, so if fragmentation is the villain, then who's the hero of our story? Well, the solution being proposed is this new model for society called the network union.
So a network union is the direct antidote to fragmentation. I want you to imagine a community that's designed from the ground up to work like a single, integrated operating system. One that weaves all those separate threads of life, housing, health, work, and learning back into one cohesive whole. And this shift in mindset is absolutely fundamental. See, instead of buying life a la carte, paying for a separate school, a separate gym, an office, a community, you just participate in a sustainable system. Education is no longer some separate service you consume. It becomes something you do just by participating in the life of the community. So what does this actually look like for people on the ground? Let's take a look at a really powerful before and after comparison for every single age group. Okay, for kids, the transformation is just profound. They shift from a world of passive compliance to one of active agency. In this new model, their natural curiosity isn't squashed, it's channeled into real contributions, where they're learning directly from adults who are engaged in real, meaningful work. And for teens, the change is just as stark. That abstract pressure to, choose a career with zero real-world context, that gets replaced by tangible apprenticeship pathways. The isolating bubble of just being around other teens gives way to genuine mentorship from a whole range of adults, building real skills for a much more confident transition into adulthood. For adults, the big shift is from burnout to leverage. Think about it. That endless administrative burden of managing a fragmented life is just lifted. Costs are dramatically reduced because of shared infrastructure, and your skills actually start to compound as you mentor others. It all leads to higher output with way, way less stress. And finally, our elders are brought back from the margins and placed right in the center of the community where they belong. Social isolation gets replaced with embedded, essential roles as mentors. Their wisdom and experience are no longer written off. They're celebrated as a vital resource, which extends both their vitality and their sense of purpose. Okay, this vision of an integrated life is pretty inspiring, but it definitely begs the question, how does it all actually work? What's the smart engine that's powering all of this human connection? Well, first, let's talk about the money. This chart shows a sample monthly cost for a family of 4. In a network union, that cost, which, by the way, includes housing, food, health, and education, is comparable to or even less than what we're already paying in the current fragmented system. But here's the really crucial point. The real value isn't just about the monthly price tag. It's about changing your entire life's trajectory. You start to reduce risk, you stop leaking money on inefficiency, and your potential, your skills, your health, your network, it finally starts to compound over time. Now, the technological core behind this is a system called Compart. It has three pretty simple layers. First, it indexes everything. Who knows what? Who needs what? Second, it's a coordination layer, connecting the right people to the right projects. And third, it builds reputation based on contribution. And that last part is a total game changer. It shifts value from credentials, what you say you can do, to reputation, which is what the community knows you can do. And this is just the perfect metaphor for it. Compart is literally the community's nervous system. It's constantly sensing needs and resources and then routing information to trigger learning and work and collaboration exactly when and where it's needed most. So let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. This slide really summarizes the entire argument. We move from a fragmented, isolating society that's obsessed with credentials to an integrated community that values real capability and is built on a foundation of genuine belonging.
And this is the beautiful conclusion of the whole idea. You don't have to reform education or force people to learn. When you reintegrate all the pieces of life, learning just happens. It becomes the natural byproduct of a connected, purposeful existence.
So, we'll end with this question. The source material argues that the root problem is fragmentation. So, looking at your own life, your work, your family, your community, your learning, what's one small thing you could start to weave back together?